Welcome to this episode of Haunted Hour Podcast. This week, I sat down with Sonya Thompson, who was a zombie in the Walking Dead series, seasons 1 and 2. And you may know her from a lot of magazines and advertising for The Walking Dead. So we talked about The Walking Dead. We talked about the new series that are coming out that we've been watching. We talk about the paranormal, dreams, and how being a zombie can affect your dreams, and so much more. So let's get right into the episode. I am really excited to talk to you because, and I have to tell you, the whole zombie thing, I'm one of those people that is terrified of zombies. I don't know how I even ended up watching and being addicted to this show. And now I'm actually talking to a zombie. And so it's like, it's so interesting that like I've come full circle with this whole thing. When I was a child, I used to watch Elvira with my dad, and there was some zombie show on there, and it like did something to me mentally. I think I was too young to watch it, and it freaked me out. And so I feel like watching The Walking Dead has, I still close my eyes during certain parts, which will really disappoint you because it's the zombies that scare me. But I'm pretty good with a couple of exceptions on the show, like the time who was the guy who got caught in the door, the revolving door with oh my gosh, it's been so long, I'm starting to forget the characters. Anyways, they ripped his neck out.
Yeah.
That did me in. But so you were on season 1 and 2, and you did play a zombie, and you've done, I was looking at your bio, you've done so much other work as well, but I kind of wanted to bring you on and kind of talk about the whole Walking Dead, and then the dolls you make, and the paranormal, because I see that you're like getting into the paranormal and stuff, or maybe you've always been into it, I'm not sure. And so I want to know if you want to like share a little bit about yourself so that people who are watching know, and then I'm going to get into my questions with you.
Okay. Well, my name's Sonya Thompson. Um, I've been in the film industry since 2007. So yes, I have done a lot of other things other than zombie stuff, but I've kind of been typecast now as a zombie, and so a lot of people don't realize that I've done more. But this is me behind me. You can't see it completely, but that's a shower curtain that I've managed to get on. And so The Walking Dead used me not only in season 1, season 2 as a main zombie, but also as a promotional model. And I think more people know me from the promotional stuff than they do my main scenes from The Walking Dead. Um, so I've been on magazine covers. I'm one of the most seen walkers in the world for promotion of The Walking Dead. Not
Yeah.
the most seen, but one of. And so that's landed me on magazine covers, T-shirts, DVDs, billboards, all over, just all over the place. Anything you can think of that they could use me on advertising, they have used me inside of magazines, all that kind of stuff. Posters. But I was also in Zombieland. My scene was deleted from that, but I was in the Zombieland training video, and that made it to the part of that made it to the DVD in the behind the scenes stuff, along with a picture of me, and my deleted scene also made it. Um, but I do a variation of lots of things. I'm a singer. I dance occasionally. Um, I'm an artist. Gosh, I just and the
Yeah.
paranormal, as far as the paranormal, yes, I've always had an interest in that. Have I
Oh,
been on a couple of investigations? Yes, a couple, but I'm very fascinated by it now. I've, I've I've seen some stuff and heard some stuff, so I'm convinced. So,
oh, so what got you started in the paranormal? Like, did you have an experience as a child, or?
gosh, I'm a psychic to an extent. Well, okay, so I've always known I was a psychic or clairvoyant. Um, but I just didn't. People thought I was weird. So I just kind of was like, okay, I got to block this off. So I tried to tone it down, and I blocked a lot of it out, and still had some intuitive moments and stuff. And so with that being said, I think that opens me up to be able to see a lot more than some people, or to hear things. I can feel spirits when I walk into a space. Um, I can just walk in and know. I can just get a vibe about things. And I've actually seen my grandfather after he died. He was doing something to my TV after he
Oh,
passed, and he was
huh.
fixing it for me. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah, and I saw him do that. I woke up and I'm like, Papa, is that really you? And he never turned back. He never looked. All I saw was a back of him, and he was fixing my TV. But that was something that he often did for me when it
Uh-huh.
would go fuzzy or the picture wasn't clear. Because I mean, I grew up in the '70s, and so you had to go and adjust the
Yeah.
TV to get it to tune in properly. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But I had other experiences. I When my other grandfather died, he was a holiness preacher, and I remember seeing his spirit just lift up out of the casket during the funeral,
Uh-huh.
and he was like, I'm home," and he started
Wow.
dancing around. And then there's some other
Oh,
things, yeah, yeah, other
I
things
love
that
that.
happened too. Yeah, my brothers also saw it and experienced some things as well after that, and so I know that plane exists. Um, but when you do have things happen and there's no explanation and you can't debunk it, it's
Yeah.
real. And
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of scared me some. And it hasn't been until the past, maybe, I'm an empath as well. So um, when I've learned better now how to protect myself spiritually,
Yeah.
so I feel a little bit more confident in going into some of these places and doing some things. And I've had a few of my friends open some doors up for me in the paranormal as well, and they've convinced me. So
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Well, I know we have a mutual friend, Miranda. Have you ghost hunted with her?
I not no, not really, but I have been to her jail, and every time I've been
Oh,
to the jail, it never disappoints. I've heard
yeah.
footsteps, I've heard disembodied voices, I've heard jail cell doors closing and opening
Oh,
on their own on the third
yeah.
floor. I've
Wow.
I've actually smelt different phantom smells. Um, I tell you, it's crazy. You go there, you're always every time I've been there, I've had some sort of experience of some sort, and you can't make
Wow.
it up. You can't.
No, it's true. That's cool. So then you're doing paranormal investigations, and now you're going to, like you mentioned, a Bigfoot convention, which I'm really curious about. So is the whole thing is a Bigfoot convention, and then what will you be doing? You're speaking or signing, you said?
I will be a speaker for the Bigfoot. It's the Georgia Bigfoot Conference. It's going to be in Dillard, Georgia, March 15th and 16th. I think it's only going to be open in the evening on the 15th for like a VIP type party, and then on Saturday all day, and that's when the speakers will be. Um, I've not ever had a Bigfoot experience, but I'll be signing autographs. I was in a Bigfoot movie that
Oh,
filmed, yeah, it filmed up in West Virginia, and Bigfoot tore me apart in it. So,
oh,
um, but anyway, it's because of that I've been asked to be at this Bigfoot conference, and I'll have my dolls with me. I'll have my porcelain dolls that I hand painted as well and turn them into zombie dolls. I'll be signing autographs and meeting and greeting, taking pictures with people, fans, and just like I say, I don't know what I'll say when I get up there and talk, but I've heard other people's experiences with Bigfoot, so I'll probably talk about that some.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, your experience wasn't good at all.
No, no, it wasn't.
So then with the dolls, I was looking at the dolls and they're so cool. I totally want one of the blonde ones. I think they're really neat, the elves. Um,
Yes.
so I love it. So do you feel like maybe because you were always getting your makeup done as a zombie, and I know that that's a lot of work doing zombie makeup. So I kind of have a couple questions about that. One is, do you think that that having that makeup done, seeing yourself transform like that, that maybe that's what created that kind of desire to make up the dolls in the first place? Like, what was the first time you picked up a doll and started making her up as a zombie?
Well, a year ago. But I will go in to say, I will go, this is like one of the number one questions I get asked. How long does the makeup process take? It takes an hour and a half to 2 hours most of the time, depending on what they're doing that day to you. And then you wear the contacts or scleros was what we wore on The Walking Dead. And that's what made our eyes look all crummy. But being an artist, I would sit in the chair, and I love having a mirror in front of me when they're doing their work, because I feel like I was their canvas
Yeah.
and they're putting their art on me. So I guess in a way, that was some of what I think about when I'm doing these dolls. Um, I had bought. I also go to antique stores. I like antiquing and doing things like that. I
Oh,
like,
me too.
yeah, I like refurbishing furniture and different things. I like to give things new life. Um, and so I had went to an estate sale and bought a whole lot of porcelain dolls. I think there
Oh,
was 20. Gosh, how many were there? I think there was like 24 dolls,
wow.
and might have been more. I can't remember now, but I knew that some of them were valuable, and so I paid one price for all of them, and I put them at the antique store I have a booth in, and I
Oh,
told my mom, yeah, I told my mom, I said, hey, if these things don't sell as themselves, I'm gonna have to do something with them to move these dolls so I can make my money back. And I'd seen some zombie dolls at Days of the Dead, some of the horror conventions,
yeah.
and I was like, I can do that. I've
Yeah.
watched enough makeup, I've watched enough things, I can do this. So I painted my very first zombie porcelain doll a year ago. It was around February of last year, and I put it out on Facebook to see what people thought about it, and I had people wanting it. They were almost fighting over it.
Wow.
Yeah, so I sold it and mailed it out, and I do a thank you card with each, not with the zombie elves because they're a cheaper price, but with each porcelain doll, I do a thank you card and say thank you for purchasing number 5 or number 10 or whatever the number is of my zombie doll collection, and
Wow.
so I sign it, and then I also include a trading card with me on it as a
Wow.
zombie. Yeah, and so or a 4x6 photo of me, and so actually they're getting like 3 autographs because I sign and number each doll.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I figured that was something neat. So
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, I've done about 50, I guess,
Wow.
yeah, 50 something, maybe 56 or 58. I can't remember now the number
Oh, wow.
of dolls since last year. And
Oh my
then
God.
the elves have actually, gosh, I've done a whole bunch of them already. They're up there in the 50s as well. And on the back of them, on their butt, I sign S. Thompson and I number them. So
Oh, I
each
love
one of
it.
those are numbered as well. But you don't get all the perks that you do with
Yeah,
the other one. These are only 25 each. And
that's great.
yeah, well, zombie elf on the I mean, the regular elf on the shelf is like $35.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so mine's cheaper than
Oh,
him. And
wow.
they're hand painted, so
Yeah, and it's such a cool, like I said, I really want one of the blonde ones because it's like such a cool collector's item. I collect dolls. And so
okay.
I like try to find the ones that have hauntings or are supposed to be haunted and stuff. And so I've got a couple that are really interesting, and I wonder what their reaction would be if I added something like this, because most of the dolls are pretty. And so what would happen? I don't know. So I really want to experiment with that myself and kind of like be like, what do you think of this?
Well,
um,
it was I do have to add this. Um, I've never liked a lot of the dolls my mom buys. We'll go to a yard sale and she'll buy some old doll from the 20s or the 30s or the 40s. I'm like, Mom, that's creepy. Don't do that. So she's laughed at me when I started doing this because she's like, I
yeah.
thought you like creepy dolls. I'm like, Mom, I don't. But these are zombie dolls. It's different.
I love that. That's so funny because it's like normally that would be more terrifying, but for you, that's like more comforting.
Like, these are fine, Mom, but I will say I do sage any of the dolls that I get. I take sage and I sage them all and clear them
Oh,
and clear all the negative energy off of all of them because I don't know where they've been. I mean, because some of them I get at antique stores, yard sales,
yeah.
estate sales, things like that. So you don't know what might be coming home with you. So most of the time I can feel it if I pick it up,
Yeah, I
but
guess
most
you
of
would. Yeah.
yeah, but the dolls are so beautiful. It was so hard to like make them into zombies because they were so pretty and the clothes were so pretty, the dresses were so pretty. And I was just like, I'm about to mess this pretty Victorian style dress up. Oh my God.
Yeah, blood spattered and everything. Yeah, I watched you were doing a live, but it had already passed. It was like I watched it like 6 days after. And you were showing some of those porcelain dolls, and they're really cool. They're like the real deal, and they're beautifully painted or horribly painted, however you want to say it. They were scary, but they're cool. And so I think people, if they haven't seen that, they definitely need to check that out. And I'll like put links and stuff to your Facebook page so people can find that. Because is that on your website or that's just on your
I just
Facebook,
have it on
right?
mainly Facebook. Every once in a while, I'll put it on Instagram. I've not been able to update my professionalzombie.com website in a while because when Windows changed over years ago, all of a sudden you couldn't use your software anymore. And my website builder software, I couldn't use
Oh,
anymore. It didn't work with the new
oh,
Windows program. So I haven't found another website building program that I like.
no,
So,
no.
yeah, so I need to update it, and I'm just like, oh my God, that means I gotta buy a website builder or something. So
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I use for my website, I use GoDaddy, and it was really simple because I'm no website wizard, and it was, it was really easy. So I don't know if that'll work for your site or not, but that's something. There's a little plug for GoDaddy. That totally worked for me. Okay, so I kind of want to circle back to The Walking Dead a little bit. We talked about the makeup, but when you guys were filming, was there anything like weird since you have like some psychic abilities? Was there anything weird going on all the different locations? I was watching a video you did with gosh, it was something poet, and you guys just recently went to
yeah, yeah,
Georgia, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So was there anything the whole time you were filming that would seem like it could have been paranormal or something weird that went on?
Not necessarily on the Walking Dead set, but I've been on some other sets that I felt some stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, when I was doing Halloween 2, I played a dead nurse. I played dead quite well.
Yeah.
Um, and we were filming in the old Dunwoody Hospital that had been closed down. It was a medical center that had been closed down, and we were in the basement. And I was getting all sorts of vibes down there. Now, granted, it could have been the whole, you know, Halloween movie. It was Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and Tyler Maine. He's like nearly 7 foot tall. Very tall,
Oh,
big guy. Great guy
yeah.
by the way. Um, and I could hear his footsteps like vibrating, like throughout echo, like a vibration echo throughout the basement where we were at. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I bet the morgue was down here. And
Oh,
I'm thinking stuff, and I'm just like, oh my God, why did I tell myself that? Why now? I'm really, I was getting a little bit of anxiety down there
wow.
during the filming of that. We were there for 16 hours that day, and it was creepy. It was very creepy in there. I picked up on a lot of stuff, but it being an old hospital, you know, that's to be, understood, because that's very understandable. Um,
Yeah.
there was another movie called Prosper that I was in, and we were filming at this old mill. I think it was in near Decatur, in near Atlanta, Georgia, and that place. Oh my God, it was creepy. There was so much stuff happening. The batteries would drain on the cameras. They kept having to
Huh.
replace batteries. It was just a lot was there. It was very, and there was some dark stuff there. I felt some dark stuff. I could be wrong on that, but I just got really, I didn't want to be in there. You know, it was that type feeling. I didn't want to be in there.
Huh. That's interesting because I've heard, it seems like a lot of people that I've talked to that have worked on, different on locations. I myself, I did makeup for a movie, and it was in a hospital. The whole thing was filmed in a hospital, and we were in different locations in the hospital, and it was closed at night because it was like the people stayed in one section of the hospital, but the section that we were in was like outpatient. So people would be gone overnight. But it was 3 stories. It was big. And like as a makeup artist, they send you down like in the elevator to go collect things. And you're kind of, doing everything. And there was some weird stuff that went on in that hospital. I'll tell you a quick story because I know you'll like it. So they were doing their filming and I was standing off so that I could see if they needed me, but I was out of the way. And there was a room behind me and I heard a woman crying, but there was like me and I think there was 2 other women. One was in the scene, another one was down the hall with these other guys. And so I'm in an opposite hall and I heard a woman, it sounded like real like moaning and crying. And I'm like, okay. And I'm kind of looking around and I asked everybody, did you hear anything? And they're like, no, And so even the sound guy asked, did you hear anything? And he said, no, I didn't hear anything. And so when I was driving home that night, I felt compelled to say, you cannot follow me. Cause I got creeped out normally. And I've been there for like 6 months and I was fine. And all of a sudden I'm creeped out because we only filmed on Saturdays. And so I'm driving home and the radio's playing. I listen to like alternative music. I'm listening to the radio and all of a sudden it switched to like a 1950s music. I kid you not. I listen to Sirius radio, right? It doesn't normally just like change station. It's never happened to me, right? It played the song. All of a sudden it switched back to my radio station. And then I felt like something had lifted. And I was like, wow, did I just give a ghost a ride home? Like, because it was in LA. So, like, somewhere between LA and Riverside, I dropped a ghost off. It was just the weirdest thing.
It is odd, but I mean, maybe that's what you did, and it just wanted to hear that song, and
Yeah.
and after it heard it, it was like, okay, I'm good. See ya.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm
For the
free.
No, I was just gonna
Oh,
say, there's times that I feel stuff, and I tell them, no, you can't come home with me. I was at a Stump House Tunnel up in South Carolina last week. It was one of my little road trips, and I was walking into the tunnel, and I was getting creeped. I was like, I can't go all the way down in there. I can't do it. I'm just like, I need paranormal bodyguards to go with me. I was just like, this. I could feel. I felt like I wasn't alone, and I cut my ghost app on my phone and started getting some stuff like out and stuff like that. I'm like,
oh,
yeah, I'm leaving. Don't worry, I'm leaving. But I did ask it not to come with me, whatever was in there. And I looked it up and it is a very haunted tunnel. Uh, so yeah,
yeah.
definitely taking paranormal bodyguards back with me. So when I
Yeah.
go,
And
but
there's something
anyway,
to it that, it's like you can tell
mhm.
sometimes because I normally don't say that, but I was compelled to say it. It's like something that you just pick up on that that something really is trying to, be with you or attached to you or whatever it's trying to do. Yeah. It's I don't like that feeling personally. It's
I
creepy.
don't, I don't either. And I have a medicine. I don't know if you're familiar with medicine wheels, but I have a medicine wheel in my yard. And I will go and I will stand in it and just ask for any negative energies or any attachments. So even if it's emotional attachments, to please leave, and Mother Earth take it
Oh.
back, or God take it back, whoever wants it, just, eliminate it from me. And so I try to clear myself out weekly and ground myself in the medicine wheel. So
Well, I've never heard of that before. Is a medicine wheel like something that's connected to nature or
it is, well, it dates back to, Native Americans, and I guess even other times, periods as well. But it's the ley lines of the
oh,
earth, carry energy. And so where the ley lines crisscross is like a vortex of energy. And you can harness that energy by building a medicine wheel around that. And you, it's round. You have an entrance from the east, and then you go clockwise around, and you can stand on certain areas that may be more powerful depending on your birthday.
wow.
You have like spokes. So you have a godstone in the middle. You have spokes, and it goes all the way around. So it's just rocks and everything. But you'll have to look it up. You'll see some really big ones,
Yeah.
in different areas. And it's but you can. I had a shaman bless it and all this kind of stuff, so he helped me build it and bless it,
Wow.
and so it's really neat. I've put some clients of mine. I'm also a massage therapist.
Oh yeah.
I've been doing that for 33 years. And so I put a client in there. She had been in the hospital and had almost died. And she just kept feeling heavy. And I told her, I said, "You've got something on you." I said, "Can we put you in the medicine wheel?" And she's like, "Yeah, you sure can." So I put a chair right in the middle and I set her in it and I laid hands on her and I started just praying over her, and it was like the light was red. And she said she saw a red light as well. And
Wow.
then all of a sudden it started getting white, and she saw the white light too. She said it was the brightest, most beautiful white light she had ever seen.
Wow.
After that day, she started getting better.
Huh.
And her husband, who doesn't believe in any of this type of stuff, he noticed she started getting better after that day. He
Yeah.
saw a change in her. Her color was different. Everything was different. And she said that weight just lifted off of her.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
so amazing. Oh, I'm gonna yeah, because the only thing I know about that heavy feeling, and I do the sage because that's
Yeah.
the only thing, you know. And I mean, I have my certain crystals that I like, um, but I don't. I absolutely love this. I love like being outside and connecting to nature. I'm very into like I'll go outside just to like talk to my trees and stuff. And a lot of people like act like that's crazy, but it's really not. I mean, it does seem. I will tell the roses before they bloom, I look forward to your beautiful roses, and like there's always like roses really quick after that. And I tell the plants, like my plants, I was a plant killer. I
Oh,
killed every plant I ever met. And when I saw somebody talking about this in a podcast, and I'm like, I'm going to try it, and not only does it make me feel good and like ground me and, so I mean, you talking about that, that's probably something that I definitely need to look into because I believe in the grounding, being barefoot in nature, the ocean cleansing, all these things really are, this is where we're from, right? And this is
yeah.
what we connect to the most. So, oh, I love that. Okay. Well, that was like so amazing. I like forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I love that. I just learned something that I had never heard of before. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you. Okay, so like I said before in the beginning, I'm terrified of zombies. And so like somehow that's been programmed into my mind. So knowing what you know as a zombie, what if there were to be if that happened for real, what should people like do? Where should you go? How do you
Well,
survive?
well, I mean, first you want to have a kit ready, like a bag, because you're not going to have time to be running around like gathering up everything. You're going to forget something, if you do. So you need like to have a kit that is ready to go with either your gun, your ammo, your band-aids, aspirin. If you've got antibiotics, put them in there. Water. Food. I've got a lot of freeze-dried things myself. A friend of mine, he's got a freeze dryer, so I get some freeze dried meats and vegetables and scufflings, which is like a great and fruits and stuff like that. And but you can't carry it all with you. But if you've got to go somewhere, then at least have some stuff that that's ready to go because that stuff lasts 25, 30 years, so you can
Oh,
actually
wow.
pack some of that in a bag.
Yeah.
So you just want to have like a ready to go bag and stuff, a prep bag. And if you do, have a game plan. I mean, I've actually got walkie talkies. So my mom has one, and I have one, and my brother down the road has one. So if something were to happen, such as the cell phones that went down the other week, we can
Yeah.
contact each other on those walkie talkies. You got to have some sort of form of connection, and I mean, I don't know if the phone lines would go down if you had like a regular phone in your house, but I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have that now because everybody's cut the cord,
Yeah.
and but I don't know how long those would work. because if it was an EMF or something like that, that would really totally mess things up. But yeah, plan of action of how you're going to get somewhere, because if something were to happen, the roads are going to be crowded. And
Yeah.
like on The Walking Dead, how all those cars were stalled, like just sitting there. Well, it
Yeah.
came to the point where they were all standstill and people had to just get out. So
Yeah.
they all ended up getting out on foot and going places. And so, you have to think about that. You don't want to go the routes that everybody else is going. Because right now, think about it. When you get in your car and you cut on your phone to do GPS,
Yeah.
that GPS is taking everybody that same route because it's supposedly quicker and shorter. So
Right. Yeah.
no longer does that become quicker and slower. I mean, quicker a route anymore, because it's everybody's going that way.
Yeah.
So if everybody's going the interstate, then there's always going to be traffic and always going to be a backup. So a lot of times when I drive like down to Florida or wherever I'm going, I won't take the major interstates. I'll take the back roads and the old highways, because GPS ain't taking nobody hardly that way.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, and there's hardly nobody going that way. So the time that it takes you to sit in traffic, at least you're moving. It's going to be the same amount of time to go the other route, because you're going to get caught in traffic in Atlanta every daggone time.
Yeah.
So you know, so you got to think logically and think about things that maybe everybody else isn't going to do, but you need to have a plan of action so you can be ready. Because I just don't know what's going to happen with the way things are now. And I'm not a prepper per se, but I've learned a lot over the past 13, 14 years, because I'll tell you, years ago when I went to Dragon Con, I was on the zombie panel there. And there was some people asking about, what's your zombie plan of action and stuff. And I was laughing. I was like, these they're I just thought they were being sarcastic and funny. No, they were being serious. And I was like, oh my God. So I devised a plan. I did a book called I Am Zombie, Hear Me Snarl.
Oh.
And yeah. And in the book, I have my plan of action, what weapons I would use. I would have a long sword, because if you run out of bullets, you gotta have something.
Right.
Um, yeah. So you gotta think about that. You gotta think about, and you gotta think about things you can trade too, like buying silver and gold, and because your money is not gonna be worth anything. So
Right.
yeah. So you gotta think about the big picture. But yeah, I put in there like all sorts of stuff. I keep books. A lot of people get rid of their books because they're like, well, I can get it on my phone or my Nook,
Right.
whatever. No, you got to have books, because none of that's going to work.
Yeah.
So you got to have survival books. You got to have books on how to grow things. You got to have books on how to build things. You got to, I've got just about the whole Foxfire series. I don't know if you're familiar with Foxfire, but
Yeah.
it's got a lot of, back in the 60s, these high school students interviewed a lot of people in the Appalachian Mountains, and they wrote down and recorded how to make a moonshine still, you know,
Oh.
yeah, how to do all these things. So it's very important to um, have these resources on how to build these things and do these things so you can survive. And
Yeah.
I came up with this plan that I need a house up on a mountain with a big moat around it, and have a zip line, and have all just
I love that.
you can go over the zombies, and then
Yeah.
pull yourself back, have a pulley system so you can just kind of pull yourself back up, the mountain. And
Yeah.
but I was just like, you got to have all these resources and things. You got to have ways of keeping other people out too, little booby traps and things like that,
Yeah. Oh,
protecting the house.
it's so true, because watching, like, I never thought about these things before I watched The Walking Dead, and how
Mhm.
people were so quick to, do each other in. I mean, that's really, for me, the whole show's been about the characters and their journey, and how people are so quick to screw each other over. I mean, the
Mhm.
first one for me was with Rick and Shane, you
Yeah.
know, was like, my God, you know. So, I mean, that's something that you'd really have to watch out more for is the people even more than the zombies, because the zombies are just kind of like, you know, walking but not thinking about it, where people are going to be more strategic. And that's why I have a lot of friends that say, well, I've got, you know, these guns and this, the X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, you've got all the supply, so they don't have to save them. They just have to get you. So it's like, I don't know how you win, you know. But I like your idea of living on top of a hill. I look back at like some ancient civilizations, and they're like
Mhm.
on these cliffs, and I don't even know how they got up there. You know, there's these castles on the top of cliffs, and it's like, how did they even, like, maybe the landscape had changed or there was a bridge or something, but that would be, and then you have your zip line to get in and out. I love that.
I mean, then you gotta have your pulley to get back up, which you gotta have some other ways to get in and out too. But there's one castle in I think it's in Britain or somewhere over there. He actually had a tunnel. This guy had a tunnel where
Oh.
he could get out up the mountain and all this and go hunting and get berries and stuff like that. And the enemy one time was trying to blockade the castle so they couldn't get out to get food. So they thought that they could starve. So this king, he would go out, go get food, and then he would have it delivered to the guards that the army that was down below trying to you know keep them from get them to starve so they can attack them and weaken them and all that. And they're like, "How's he getting food?" So he had devised a plan, and none of his servants knew where his cave was or how to get out it or
Huh?
anything. They found it eventually, I guess. But I thought that was really neat. That's
That's cool. I love that.
I'm like, man, I'm gonna have a cave. I'm gonna have bat
Oh
cave.
my gosh. Yeah. So, what are you? Okay, so I'm going to go back now to, how did you actually get involved in acting? Like, where did that? Because you also mentioned that you're a comedian and then you're a massage therapist. And I kind of relate to that because I'm like a person who wears many hats and tries many things because it's the experience of life. So,
Yeah.
why not try to be as many things as you can, you know? But like, how did it all like start?
Well, I've always been an entertainer. I mean, even when I was a child, I would put on shows for my family. And my first play, I was in kindergarten, and I was an angel. I portrayed an
Oh,
angel in kindergarten because I went to a Methodist kindergarten, and so that was my very first play then. But I would do I would sing and dance and put on these performances for my family, and they just would laugh, thought it was great. And then when I was in school, I was did like plays and stuff. Then I did plays in church. I was in the church choir. I was in chorus in school. And when I also did some modeling for some of the local establishments around here, stores around here and stuff, some little runway type. I'm short, but around here, in the country, you can do that. They don't care how
yeah.
tall you are. So I did some of that, and I did a little bit of auditioning in my 20s. But in my 20s, also I was a professional clown. I went
Oh,
to My ex-husband and I went to clown school together.
oh
And
wow.
yeah, he was also a magician, so we would
Oh,
go do like shows together and stuff.
yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. And I would go to my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go to my daughter's school and volunteer as a clown. I go to the nursing homes and volunteer as a clown, stuff like that. And then I was also in a gospel music group in my 20s. So I've just always been a performer, and I had auditioned a few times for some TV commercials and things like that in my 20s, and had a modeling agency that wanted me, but I was a single mom at the time. And so just wasn't feasible for me to do that because I really needed to be there for my daughter, and I was working 2 and 3 jobs. I wasn't getting child support. So it was just it was
Yeah.
very difficult. And so I knew I couldn't do that. So when she became a senior in high school, one of my friends was really tired. I'm like, "Why are you tired?" He's like, "Oh, I've been working on this movie set." And I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "Can I bring my daughter? Because she is a wonderful wonderful actress and singer and dancer, and I would love for her to see that side of it because she does music. She was doing musicals and plays and stuff herself. And
Yeah.
so he says, "Yeah, come like you're going to a spring semi-formal wedding." So we got all dolled up, put our dresses on, and we showed up, and they immediately put us in front of the camera,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, and we're like dancing and hanging out with Kathleen Robinson, Sarah Rue, Desmond Harrington, Christian Kane, Will Estes, all these people. Barry Corbin was even in this movie, and we're just hanging out with them, talking to them, and I'm massaging their shoulders. I'm doing all this cool stuff, and the casting company, I did that for 3 nights, by the way, and still worked during the day. So that's
Wow.
really what got me started because the casting company thought that I had been doing this for a long time. And they started calling me for these other movies and
Oh,
these
wow.
TV series and just different things. And all of a sudden I'm being featured. And before I knew it, I was getting lines in independent movies, and then I got an acting coach. I had a manager contact me. I, got an agent. It just everything just started happening, and
Yeah.
so it's been a really wonderful ride. And even if I were to just hang my hat up right now, I,
Yeah.
I have a lot to be proud of. I've been in probably, gosh, probably over 100 movies and
Wow.
projects and stuff over the past, since 2007, and it's it's some very cool stuff, and I'm proud of what I have accomplished. And I'm not saying I'm ready to hang my hat up right now, but
Right.
I'm just not doing as much as I was doing. Um, I'm maybe doing 1 or 2 movies a year, and that's it. So,
Yeah.
um, I've produced, I've directed, I've written, I've just done a lot of stuff, but and I don't know if I jumped off the subject any, but that's
No, no, that's really cool. I love how your story, like, I mean, you always been doing it. Like, even though they thought, they said that they thought you had been doing it, you really had been, right? You were preparing for that your whole life, really. And you were
Mhm.
doing it because you loved it,
Yes.
and so, and then life happens to all of us. And then you're just, so then you were working as a massage therapist, you're raising your daughter, you're living your life, but then the opportunity came up and you thought about your daughter and you brought her in and it just worked. And I love those kind of like stories because I mean, if you hadn't gone, then nothing would have changed. And I really like where people just they take a chance, they see an opportunity or whatever it is, and they just go with it. And then the universe does everything else and it just unfolds. Not to say that you didn't do a lot of work, but I mean, the universe opens like the chapter of the book for you and you can, do it. I love
But
that.
yeah, you just and you're the one who has to turn the page,
Yeah,
of the chapter. And the wonderful thing about my daughter is, I was doing it for her, and
right.
I was hoping to get back into my modeling. I didn't know I was going to end up acting as much as I have. But I've truly enjoyed every moment of it. But my daughter has been in, I think we've been in 8 or 9 movies and TV shows together.
That's cool.
Um, she and I both were in Drop Dead Diva together. She was on The Walking Dead with me season 2.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, she was at the barn when it was burning at
Oh,
the end of season 2, and
yeah.
got shot by Daryl at the barn.
Oh, oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
Let's go have to go back and watch that.
yeah. We're in a
Oh,
we're
wow.
in a few scenes together, and there were some scenes they had us running together, somewhat, like shambling quickly, and some of that stuff gets cut, and then sometimes it's just
Yeah.
it's, you know, but yeah, she's done. She and I have done several projects together, and but she's not acting or anything. She's still dancing. She's with a dance troupe over in the Netherlands. That's where she lives at with my granddaughter and son-in-law.
Oh, wow.
And I went over
That's
there
cool.
Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So would you ever think that, like, if you moved to the Netherlands, would that be a place that you could do? Like, are there any acting opportunities in Netherlands?
I know that the Daryl show films in France, which is, Paris is
Yeah.
only 4.5 hours from where my daughter lives at.
Yeah.
but I don't think there's as much there because, you'd have to know the language. I don't speak a lot of Dutch. It's very minimum, like to none. So
Just enough to get by.
not even hardly enough to get by. It's like go ahead and say, "Hey, do you speak English?"
I love that. So then, okay, so speaking of the new shows that are coming out, so I just started watching the one with Michonne and Rick, which I'm excited about because I was always under the impression that he was gone, and I thought that they had said that, even if they do make this show, he wasn't going to be in it, which to me didn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
so of all the new shows, you've got the one with Daryl, there was one with Negan and Maggie, and I can't remember the names of any of them. And then the one we're watching now, is there like one that you thought was like the best, or you love them all, or?
Well, I've not watched all of them. I've not watched the one with Negan. I really don't have cable, but I've been watching the newest one with my mom, and with the Daryl one, I got to watch that at my mom's. But I do like the Daryl one. I like that it's in another country, and it just shows that it was a worldwide epidemic. Not
Yeah,
centralized to the United States or North America. Um, and but I've got to say, this miniseries with Rick and Michonne. Now, originally, see, they were going to do a movie with
that's right. Yeah.
and then they decided there was so much response about it, they decided to do a miniseries, and so it's so far. I mean, I'm really liking it. Um, I like it better than the Daryl uh, series that's out, but I will continue to watch the Daryl series because it is really good.
Yeah.
Um, but when you have to put it in the order, I'm liking this. I think just the fact I'm getting to see Rick and Michonne and everything. So that
Yeah.
that's been a blessing because that was just sort of, I mean, he flew off in the helicopter, and it's like, okay, well, where did he go? What were these
Yeah.
helicopters? We need answers to, because we see the helicopter in the beginning,
Mhm.
and it's like, what where is this helicopter? How are they able to still fly? They've got gas, they've
Right.
got, so what's going on with this? So it's good to have some of those answers, finally, after all these years.
Yeah, I
Mm.
agree. I guess that is kind of like the one that gives us a little bit of hopefully some sort of closure or something. And then I realized that he doesn't even know that Michonne had his child, right? Because he left before that, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was
I'd
trying
have
to
to go
put that
back
one
and look.
together.
I don't know. No, actually, he does know. I think he did know.
Okay.
I think.
I couldn't decide
Um,
if he knew or not.
God, man, I've got to go back now. Look what you did to me. I've got to go back and see.
I know. I was thinking about rewatching all of it because I was like, it's been so long. And the first time I heard about it, I was working. I was one another life I had. I was an insurance agent for 15 years, and I was working in an office. And this girl came in and she was telling me, "Oh, there's this show," and I don't even know if she knew what the name of it was. And there's this lady, and she has two zombies, and their arms are cut off, and their teeth are. And she's like going on and on about the
Mm.
guy in the hospital and the zombie dragging itself. And I was like, what the hell is she talking about? And then years later, it's like I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this is so good, just like she said.
Really is. I
So
had a friend from school that she wasn't in anything horror or anything like that, but man, she's addicted. And she's like, I only got addicted because of you, because this is your fault. I was trying to be supportive of you.
well, because you get caught up in the storyline and the characters, and I think everybody finds a character that maybe they relate to, and you kind of follow their journey, and it's really interesting. And I do have to say that the one with Negan and Maggie I thought was pretty good.
Okay.
So, and it's funny how you can go. I obviously hated Negan like everybody else, and then at some point that turned for me, and I didn't think it would, and I was like, how can we forget what he did? But somehow he becomes a
It's
likable character.
Well, it's not so much that we forget what he did as it just shows that people can forgive. And that's so many people hold so many grudges nowadays, and they don't know how to be kind, they don't know how to be nice to people, they don't know how to give people second chances.
Yeah.
And this proves that everybody can get a second chance, and they can, prove themselves that they can change. I believe that everybody can change. They got it in them. They just gotta. But if nobody's gonna give them a chance, all they're gonna do is go back to their old ways. Um, but you know, I think that's kind of cool that we can't forget what he did, but we can forgive.
Yeah. I love what you said because that's kind of where I'm at with the dream work is that it's mostly about working on yourself. Even for me, it's my journey of trying to understand myself and how and why I react to things the way I do, and a lot of self forgiveness on things. And so I wonder, like, when you were filming and you're seeing all these other characters that are dressed as zombies, and I know it's different when you're like on the set because you're talking and laughing, and so they become like, they're who they are. But did any of that cause you to have any kind of weird dreams or nightmares during that time?
Yes, it did. That was with the whole downtown being so apocalyptic. Gosh, and I'm sure some of it was just being tired because it was like 16-hour days,
Yeah.
and I was getting very little sleep there for a while. And I would go home and I would dream that my family was a zombie, my dog was a zombie, everybody was zombies in my life, in my dreams. And I'm just like, oh my God, so I know it was just the being put into that apocalyptic world and seeing death around you and everything that made it hard. Season 2, when I went back not even a month after my grandmother died, and I was with her when she took her last breath. And it was very difficult for me to be there, and see so much death around me. And so I had some dreams then as well, that were really terrifying. Um, but yeah, it does play with your psyche a little bit, with your brain. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that it would. And it uses, I think probably for you, it was just your mind trying to work through the different emotions that you felt during the day. And those were the things that you were seeing. And I feel like our mind tends to pick things that we've seen recently or experienced recently and kind of turns it into little lessons. And then also there's where our mind is just trying to work through emotions, and it's not so much for us to figure out, but just for our mind to kind of like, figure out how the emotion is affecting you and let it go. And then even with acting, like you're tapping into a part of yourself that you don't normally tap into, right? And so I can imagine that that also would do things to you and your dreaming as well, because you get to the point where you like, do you know who you are? Especially I would think somebody who plays a character like on a soap opera where they've been playing it for 20 years, and they probably end up with almost like two identities, and they become their character. So that's really interesting on the zombies. And so they went away after you stopped doing the show?
Pretty much. I mean, occasionally, you still have some weird dreams and stuff, but I don't dress like a zombie as much anymore. I don't even dress up for Halloween like I used to. But that used to be my favorite time. And then after doing this so much, I was like, I ain't dressing up this year.
So before we wrap this up, was there anything that you wanted to share with everybody, like conventions that you're going to, events, anything like that?
I don't have a lot lined up this year. The main thing that I've got is the Bigfoot conference coming up March 15th and 16th in Dillard, Georgia, at the Dillard House. And REM Distillery will be doing the VIP party, and they've got some awesome cherry moonshine. Yeah, and I don't know the hours of everything. I think the VIP thing is like 6 to 8 or something like that night. And then I just can't remember the hours that next day. I'd have to look it up, but I just don't have a lot lined up this year. I've just been, I had a few things that were lined up, but they canceled. But I do have some filming and different things going on, um, that'll be coming up, but can't really talk a lot about all that yet.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, I've just been auditioning, doing things like that, but just, I don't know. I mean, it's not that I don't like doing conventions and stuff. I've just sometimes you got to just take a step back and focus on other things. I've been focusing on doing some renovations in my house and just trying to get my life organized. And
Oh God, I can relate.
yeah, as you were saying, you work on yourself. I do a lot of self-help things. I take classes. I just anything I can do to try to help myself to become a better person and to be truer to myself too. Because a lot of times we try to please everybody around us
Yeah.
and we forget to please ourselves. And
Yeah.
so I'm trying to learn how to be more, um, not so much as free spirited, but just enjoying life more and trying to look at it from a different perspective. And I do like getting outside. And today I was laying in my hammock. I was just,
Oh,
yeah, I took the day off, and it was a beautiful day. And
I
and so
love it.
yeah, I was just laying out in the hammock, and I was just like, oh, okay, I should be doing something. No, this is where God wants me right now. This is where I'm supposed to be at. The birds were singing. The dog across the road started barking, and I heard a bird that it seemed like it was imitating the dog.
Oh,
Yeah, it was almost the same,
yeah,
as a "Ruff, ruff, ruff," and then it would do its
yeah,
little, and
yeah,
I was just like, "Gosh, it's mimicking the dog." I was
yeah.
like, "Oh my god, it's crazy." I mean, it wasn't like the dog's bark, but it was the bird, but the bird was doing the same rhythm, the same amount of squawking or whatever, that the dog was doing. I was just like, "Ah, would have never noticed that before." So,
Yeah.
uh, it's
Oh,
cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I spent a lot of time sitting out on I have a cat, but they're all indoor cats, but I have one that was a feral that came to me. And so I adopted him and got him fixed and everything. And so he likes to be outside. So I take him out on a leash and collar. We walk around just the backyard and we like check everything out and stuff. And so he's gotten me to spend more time outside because I want to make him happy, because he's going to terrorize me if I don't take him outside. And so, because I've been doing that for so long, it's made like we'll go out there and I'll just kick back in the chair. Same thing, the birds, and you notice things like I never knew I had hummingbirds before, but sitting out there, all of a sudden I notice there's hummingbirds. Like there's so many beautiful things going on that we just miss because we're always like in fast forward and all this. So I love that, I totally get what you're saying and it's amazing. That's cool. This was a really great conversation. I'm so glad that you took some time to spend with me and share everything. And
Well,
yeah,
thank you so much for the opportunity to be on your show, and I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I just hope that we talked about everything we need to, and if we didn't, I guess we'll have to
yeah,
do it again, right?
yeah, I'll have to do it again. Thank you for watching this episode of Haunted Hour Podcast. If you like this episode, please go back and watch previous episodes that I have and like and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.